From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang formally joins the All Progressives Congress, the APC, marking a major political realignment in the state. Focus of National Assembly tonight in our ongoing 2025 sector-by-sector review. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu returns to the scene of the Christmas Eve fire, confirms 8 deaths and 13 survivors as he orders integrity audits of standing structures in the area. And Swiss authorities say they believe the fire at the ski resort bar in Montana municipality was caused by sparkles attached to champagne bottles that came too close to the scene. In On Business, global stock markets kick off 2026 with mixed sentiments as investors return from New Year holiday.
On sports news tonight, Anthony Joshua's driver has been charged with reckless and dangerous driving after the fatal crash that injured the boxer and killed 2 of his team members.
And from the nation's capital, courts defers ruling on the bill application filed by former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, to January 7, orders him and his son, Abdulaziz Malami, to remain in Kuje Correctional Facility. Tonight with party politics, as Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State has formally joined the All Progressives Congress, the APC, marking a major political realignment in the state. The governor received his membership card at the ceremony in Jos, the Plateau State capital, where he also met with party leaders and stakeholders. And the governor says the move is divinely guided and in the overall interest of Plateau State.
We have come not for acrimony, but for us to ease tension. We have come for the common good of Plateau. Many skeptics and critics have said so many things, that this move for me is for personal gain. Let me say that I was privileged to be invited by the president himself to join the APC way back in July. If it was for personal gain, I would have jumped at it. But I stayed on till I was persuaded that there is benefit for state and country. And so this move we are making this today is for the love of country, is for the love of state. And I believe that before long, we'll begin to see the dividends of this move. I have had the privilege of interacting at very close range with Mr. President. We've shared deep thoughts together. We've sat in the same vehicle and conversed. And I believe one thing, that he loves this country. And for me, I have seen a president that loves my state, that loves my region, and that loves the country. And that is why I am resolved to support him fully to actualize his dreams for Nigeria.
Leader of the People's Democratic Party and former governor of Plateau State, John Ajang, says that despite Governor Caleb Mutfwang's resignation from the PDP, the party remains stable and confident. According to Mr. Jang, who spoke through his media consultant, Clinty Garuba, The party will continue to remain liberal and play its role in the development of democracy in the state and the country at large, assuring members that they will ensure progress and national development. It says that the party will also engage constructively with its members and remain dedicated to strengthening internal democracy while advancing policies and programs that promote inclusive governance and national development. And as political alignments and realignments continue ahead of the 2027 general election, elder statesman and former governor of Old Anambra State, Jim Nwobodo, has called for the conversations to end ambiguity surrounding the place of the Igbo people in national affairs. He made this known when he received the Enugu State Governor, Peter Mbah, and Senator Orji Uzor Kalu at his home in Amechi Okonawa in Enugu, where the leaders held strategic discussions on the position of Igbo in national political arrangement. Well, according to him, the Igbos should not celebrate symbolic or cosmetic inclusion, but they must have a clearly defined and respected place in the country's power structure. And for Governor Peter Mbah and Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, there is need to remain with the APC, reject division, and forge a united front.
We want to discuss the Igbo position in the scheme of things in Nigeria. We want to be able to know where do the Igbos stand. We don't want anybody to deceive us. We don't want to pretend that everything is okay. We don't want any photographic information. We want to know what the people have for Igbos, and we will get it this time. I work with him, I'm working with him, and I'm sure that with three of us, others will join us later on. Others will join us. But we definitely will have a position for the Igbos. But let the former governors and the present governors of the Igbos meet and take a decision for themselves. Let us take a decision. The other people can meet, decide anything, but let the former governors and the present governors of the Igbo stock meet and take a decision. Peter Mbah is a very strategic person. He doesn't talk much, but he acts. And I call him my son, and he is. So before he moves for anything, he could discuss it. And so, don't make a mistake. And I have worked closely with the Orji Uzor Kalu. And I know what he is, what stock he's made of. And once he stands for something, it must be truthful and very important for us.
We obviously have had discussions around the polity and particularly the mood of the nation. We recognize that as people of Igbo, we must not do anything that would create division. That there is need for us not to be fragmented. And so the discussions we've had is an evolving one. And it's going to, come to light in the days to come. Our hope is that our people will recognize the fact that, think about it, we have a nation that started off on a tripod. And of course, the Igbos are one of the legs of that tripod. And it is extremely important that we continue to play a very critical role in our polity.
We have no alternative than being with the center. It's no longer an option. It's a requirement to the Igbos if we really want to go forward. So, to me, I came here with Governor Mbah, Peter Mbah, to see our senior colleague, a very, very senior colleague, Governor Jim Nwobodo, and we have discussed, and we will try to further that discussion as time goes on.
Well, for the 10th National Assembly, 2025 was a year of historic legislative output and mixed fortunes. For a massive fiscal reset to the traditional constitution review, the Assembly attempted to redefine its role at a time of economic and security challenges. Tonight, our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Omezoke reviews a year that saw the Senate and the House embrace reforms that could fundamentally alter governance in the country.
At the heart of Nigeria's capital, the National Assembly stands as a symbol of democracy. In 2025, its chambers became the stage for sweeping reforms, fiscal resets, and debates that could reshape the nation's future.
Our endorsement of the action is total.
2025 marked a turning point in the constitution amendment process as the National Assembly embarked on the sixth alteration as 113 bills came under consideration. However, 87 of them skilled the second reading in the House of Representatives. The bills cover local government autonomy, judicial independence, electoral reform, political participation, state creation, state policing, among others.
Who will take your contribution seriously and consider the bills with diligence, fairness, and urgency?
The speakers of the State House of Assembly to offer them the opportunity to make observations and input before we present our report to the plenary and before the bills that meet the threshold of Section 9 of the Constitution are transmitted to them.
Advocates of inclusive governance took their advocacy a notch higher as lawmakers, development partners and civil society organizations make a strong case for special seats to improve women representation in governance.
The National Assembly members, senators and House of Representatives, are they convinced enough to want to vote massively for this? Because our ranking on the international women political participation and women in decision making is very appalling.
The lawmakers were also busy with resetting the fiscal calendar as 3 budgets were considered by the lawmakers within the year. 43.5 trillion naira reversed 2024 budget, 48.3 trillion 2025 framework later raised to 54.99 trillion naira and to the 58.1 trillion naira for the 2026 budget.
From April, Nigeria operates on a single budget, backed by a single revenue cycle. No overlaps, no excuses, no rollovers culture.
I think it has to do with physical discipline. So if we achieve it, it will go a long way towards meeting the expectations of the citizens.
No matter what the federal government does within the national level, it is those little projects that gets to the constituencies that actually impacts on the people.
Within the year, the lawmakers passed 4 major tax laws, which is aimed at modernizing Nigeria's tax system. The bills were eventually signed into law by President Bola Tinubu. However, the lawmakers raised concerns about the content of the bills that were passed and the ones signed by the president.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what I passed on this floor is not what is gazetted.
If in between somebody somewhere presented something different to the president possibly have signed this in error, then it is just to withdraw the gazetted copy from circulation and resend the one that was passed by the 2 chambers. And then we are done.
The year also witnessed allegations of sexual misconduct against the president of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, made by the senator representing Kogi State, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduaghan. She was eventually suspended from attending plenary session as lawmakers accused her of unruly and disruptive behavior. The matter eventually went to the court, leading to attempts to resume plenary, but that did not resolve the issue. When the suspension elapsed, she eventually resumed while the legal battles continued. In its oversight role in 2025, the Senate conducted several screenings, including 3 ministers, service chiefs, a new chairman for the Independent National Electoral Commission, and the long-awaited ambassadorial list.
Can you please appreciate our new members?
Move to the other side of the aisle and bring our new members to join us. I so rule.
Though it's over a year to the next general elections, lawmakers also realigned politically, with most of them moving to the ruling All Progressives Congress to give the party a 2/3 majority in the Senate.
Cheap, high alcohol content.
Beyond lawmaking, the Assembly flexed its oversight powers. It called for the suspension of the proposed enforcement of the sachet alcohol ban, initiated several debates on the security situation in the country, as well as mediation in labor matters. In its efforts to ensure transparency in legislative processes, the lawmakers opened its doors to allow citizens to directly engage with the legislative arm of government.
Citizens now expect members of the legislature, particularly those in the National Assembly, to fill the gap in providing social services that would otherwise have been the responsibility of local government administrations.
There are a lot of bills and motions that we have taken in critical areas. The National Assembly took it upon themselves to undertake the Security Summit. We have done the preliminaries and the report has been presented. So as we begin next year, we hope to present the final report of the Security Summit.
In 2026, the work remains unfinished. The 2025 budget has been extended to March 31st, 2026, while the 2026 budget will come under scrutiny. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu returns to the scene of the Christmas Eve fire, confirms 8 deaths and 13 survivors as he orders integrity audit of standing structures in the area. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutswang joins the All Progressives Congress, the APC, marking a major political realignment in Plateau State. Focus on National Assembly tonight in our ongoing 2025 sector-by-sector review. And Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu returns to the scene of the Christmas Eve fire, confirms 8 deaths and 13 survivors as he orders integrity audit of standing structures in the area. And Swiss authorities say they believe the fire at a ski resort bar in Crans Montana municipality was caused by sparklers attached to champagne bottles that came too close to the ceiling. In what appears to be a strong New Year strike against international drug traffickers, Nigeria Customs Service officers at Apapa, working with the NDLEA, have intercepted 30 slabs of cocaine aboard the Marshall Islands flagged vessel MV Aruna. The seizure took place today at Greenview Terminal in Lagos at the Apapa port. The cocaine is reported to have been cleverly concealed on the ship, highlighting the sophisticated methods smugglers are using to exploit Nigeria's busiest seaport. The Customs Area Controller Emmanuel Oshoba praised the officers' vigilance, describing the interception as a bold statement for the year 2026. He also reaffirmed the command's zero-tolerance policy towards illicit trade, fully in line with established protocols. And right here in Lagos State, the government has confirmed that 8 people died and 13 others were rescued following the devastating fire at the Great Nigeria Insurance Building. Authorities are already investigating serious safety breaches in the area. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who revisited the site 8 days after the incident, says that 5 victims have been identified while 3 others will require DNA testing.
A 1-minute silence is observed as Lagos State mourns the victims of the devastating fire at the Great Nigerian Insurance GNI building, which occurred on December 24, a day before Christmas.
Okay, So may their gentle soul rest in perfect peace.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, during a follow-up visit 8 days after the tragedy, confirms that 8 people lost their lives, while 13 others were rescued at different times. 5 victims were said to have been identified, with DNA tests required to establish the identities of the remaining 3.
We've also, during the period, rescued about 13 persons, at different, times, at different dates on this. I'm aware that there's been several speculations around missing persons, and there's been several newspaper reports about some brothers or some sisters that are missing. And so what we've done is that we've created an active site here. We have LASEMA here, we have NEMA, Federal Emergency Agency, we have LAPCA, we have CBD, we have the police, we have DSS, we have every of our first responders are still active on site, and all of them are still here reviewing.
The governor describes the building as severely damaged and structurally unsafe. He says material integrity tests have been ordered, emergency responders remain on standby, and the area has been cordoned off within a 100-meter radius as investigations continue. Governor Sanwo-Olu also highlights multiple safety violations, including poor building practices, reckless use of power sources, and blocked access routes that hindered emergency response.
Going around the back on Breadfruit Street into Shita, I counted well over 14 generators that are on 4 floors, on 5 floors, on 3 floors. I've seen buildings that have been built on top of building. Complete lack of regulation to what is called the essence of building codes and conformity with building regulations. And so it will be an opportunity for us to do a lot of regeneration also in this whole area. Right? And so we're speaking and we're talking to property owners, we're talking to whatever name they are, developers, let them come forward, because it's not going to be that building alone. It's going to be a tough decision, but it's going to be a proper decision that we're going to be taking to preserve life and property. Because when it happens, it is still on us. So in terms of measure, that's why I'm also explaining to people that are owners of this property, if it's going to take us 5, 6, 7 to go down, they will go down. For that measure that you're talking about, for it not to repeat itself, it has to be total compliance. Total compliance.
The governor confirmed that affected structures will be demolished to enforce safety standards, stressing that the administration will not shy away from its primary responsibility of protecting lives.
We'll continue the news at 10 now. Let's head over to the nation's capital, Abuja, where Gloria Mezoke is standing by to bring us more. Over to you, Gloria. Thank you, Anne. We turn attention now to the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, which has fixed January the 7th for ruling on the immediate past Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, who has been remanded at the Kuje Correctional Facility in Abuja. Justice Emeka Nwite issued the order on Friday after taking arguments for and against the bail applications by the 3 defendants standing trial over alleged money laundering charges to the tune of over 8 billion naira. Mr. Malami, a senior advocate of Nigeria, his son Abdulaziz, and one of his wives, Sasabi Bashir, are standing trial for alleged money laundering predicated on a 16-count charge preferred against them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The trio, who are accused of laundering 8.7 billion naira, pleaded not guilty to the charges when they were arraigned on December the 30th, 2025. Following the plea of not guilty, Justice Emeka Nwite ordered the remand at Kuje Correctional Facility till today, January 2nd, when the written bail application would be argued by his legal team.
Taking into consideration the nature of the application, which is an application which is strictly a discretionary one, and based on what we had already earlier filed before the court, we withdrew our further affidavit and proceeded to take the application. And the court, in its wisdom, further adjourned to the 7th of January for ruling on the bail application. On whether that is a long time, well, you heard what the court said. The court is quite busy at this time. It has a lot of pending rulings in respect of similar matters filed by the EFCC, and that explains why he's giving us till the 7th of January to take for the ruling. By God's grace, we'll be here on that 7th, and we are hopeful that based on what we have presented before the court, that the court in its wisdom will exercise its discretion in favor of granting bail to the defendant.
Meanwhile, a federal high court in Abuja has admitted the Commissioner of Finance, Bauchi State, Yakubu Adamu, to a 500 million naira bail bond with 2 sureties in like sum. Ruling on the defendant's bail application, Justice Emeka Nwite, who ordered that the 2 sureties must be landowners within Maitama, Asokoro or Gwarimpa district of Abuja, said the property documents shall be verified by the court's registry. He adds that the sureties must also depose to an affidavit of means. The judge further ruled that the defendant and the sureties must deposit their international passports with the court registrar and must not travel out of the country except with the leave of the court. He also held that they shall deposit 2 passport photographs with the court registrar. The Justice Nwite, who ordered that Mr. Adamu should be remanded in Kuje Correctional Center pending the perfection of his bail conditions, adjourning the matter to the 20th of January 2026 for the commencement of trial. The EFCC had in a charge named Yakubu Adamu and a firm, Ayab Agro Products and Freight Company Limited, as first and second defendants in the money laundering case involving about 4.6 billion naira. They were alleged to have facilitated and agreed to the conversion, transfer, concealment and use of funds in the sum of about 4,650 million naira availed by Polaris Bank under the guise of financing the supply of motorcycles to the Bauchi State government through Emmanuel Asumaga General Enterprises, which were not supplied, punishable under Section 21 of the Money Laundering Act 2022, the count read in part. The defendant, Adamu, and three other co-defendants who were Bauchi State's workers are also facing another criminal charge bordering on alleged terrorism financing to the tune of $9.7 million before Justice Emeka Nwite. Now to Benue State, which has flagged off the construction of 5 township roads in Boko as part of urban renewal program of the administration of Governor Hyacinth Alia. The Director of Civil Engineering Services at the State Ministry of Works, Mr. Tiva Mwombo, flagged off the projects on behalf of Governor Alia in Boko. It says 9 local government areas have been selected in the first phase in a joint funding arrangement.
Officials of the Benue State Ministry of Works and Housing arrived Boko local government area for the flag-off exercise of the construction of road projects in the area. The delegation includes the contractor handling the 5-kilometer township roads awarded by Governor Hyacinth Alia in a joint funding agreement with 9 local government councils. They all moved to site for the exercise at St. John's Street, linking the Boko main market. Construction equipment are also moved to site to commence work.
His Excellency directed that all local government chairmen, local government councils should be part of the urban renewal program. Hence, 5 kilometers each has been, selected for phase 1 in the local government headquarters of all the 23 local governments in Benue State.
He gives details of the project.
We have flagged off in Otukpo, we have done in Kwande, and then we are now in Boko. And it's not just ordinary roads. The roads are going to be asphaltic. That is where the problem comes in. They are very, very expensive roads. When you have asphaltic surfacing, you need engineers there to supervise, you need follow-up. The roads are going to have 100% reinforced concrete drainages all through.
Work has already begun on St. John Street, which stretches from Benue Inland Revenue Service Office to the J.S. Tarka Road, linking Queen of the Rosemary Secondary School. All of these are within the Boko urban area. The people appreciate the gesture, stating that the project is an answered prayer.
I want to believe that this is just the beginning of dividends of democracy. We yearned for this, we voted for this, and now it has come. I am very, very happy meeting the team of engineers that have come over for the construction of all the roads that have been down for over years.
The other roads selected for construction include the Police Field Street, connecting the old NEPA office, Mayom Street beside Mayom Hospital, making Rice Mill Road, and Tomata Street.
Still ahead on the news at 10, global stock markets kick off 2026 with mixed sentiment as investors return from the New Year holiday. That's some business news. Let's join us again. Welcome back to Still Watching the News at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. And over to Nasarawa State, where Governor Abdullahi Sule has signed a 2026 appropriation bill into law. Tagged Budget of Strategic Consolidation, the focus of the 545.2 billion naira budget is to sustain ongoing developmental strides. Our correspondent, Halima Gayam, has a report.
Governor Abdullahi Sule signs the 2026 appropriation bill into law. The 545.2 billion naira budget, tagged the Budget of Strategic Consolidation, is targeted at continuing ongoing developmental strides undertaken by the Governor Sule administration, which has a concrete backing from the legislative arm of government.
Our administration will continue to keep nurturing the seeds of development in education, health, security, sports development, agriculture, human capital development, infrastructure, women and youth empowerment, and ensuring that they continue to bloom into vibrant fruits for the benefit of our own people.
We want to use this opportunity to thank you for what you are doing for the state and the synergy that is existing between us and the executive. I want to assure you we will continue with this synergy for the development of the national state.
To ensure clarity of government's priorities and resource allocation, the State Ministry of Finance, Budget and Planning gives a breakdown and shares expectations on development outcomes for the 2026 fiscal year. The Commissioner provides an overview of the performance of the 2025 budget, which has 160.6 billion naira estimated for recurrent expenditure and 223.6 billion naira for capital expenditure.
During the period under review, a total sum of 92 billion 52,157,525 naira and 18 kobo only, representing 41.15%, was expended as against the budget figure.
The state government assures of its commitment to ensuring transparency, accountability in managing public finances.
The ministry will rigorously monitor and track the implementation of all projects, programs and policies outlined in the 2026 fiscal year budget to ensure full compliance and value for money.
The National State 2026 budget has a capital expenditure at 316.2 billion naira and 228.7 billion naira as recurrent expenditure. Halima Agayam, Channels Television News.
And that's it from the nation's capital. It's over now to Will Ibong in Lagos for business news.
Thank you, Gloria. We continue with budgets, and we now in the state of Adamawa, where the governor, Mr. Umaru Fintiri, has signed the 2026 appropriation bill of 583.3 billion naira into law, following its passage by the State House of Assembly. Christening the budget of sustainable growth, it allocates 209.65 billion naira, and that's about 35.93% to recurrent expenditure, while capital projects receive 379.7 billion naira, representing 64.07% of the total budget. Governor Fintiri said the budget prioritizes the completion of ongoing projects and focuses on education, security, healthcare, and expanding support for agriculture. The signing ceremony was attended by Deputy Governor Professor Caleb Tawa Farauta, Speaker Batia Wesley, and other lawmakers. Billionaire investor and chairman of First Holdco, Mr. Femi Otedola, says First Bank, the commercial banking arm of First Holdco, has met the 500 billion naira capital base required by the Central Bank of Nigeria for an international banking license, with shareholders committed to injecting additional capital. This comes ahead of the March 2026 deadline set by the CBN. In a statement, Mr. Otedola praises President Bola Tinubu for what he describes as a deep understanding of the Nigerian economy, saying this is evident in the direction of recent reforms. Mr. Otedola says, and I quote, "As someone who has spent over 3 decades investing, building businesses, and navigating Nigeria's economic cycles, I rarely comment publicly on policy, but there are moments when leadership must be acknowledged." He adds that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has shown remarkable courage and clarity in steering our country through difficult but necessary reforms. According to him, "I've seen many administrations, but his conviction at this critical time deserves commendation." He also commended the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Yemi Cardoso, saying, "In that spirit of boldness, the Central Bank governor, Mr. Yemi Cardoso, has been nothing short of exceptional." On inflation, Mr. Otedola states, "The slowdown in the rate of inflation is proof of his disciplined return to orthodox monetary policy." He adds that this is not theory. These are real results visible in the gradual easing of pressure on households and businesses. On foreign exchange reforms, he said for the first time in years, the naira is strengthening on the back of market forces, not artificial fixes, adding that our external reserves have climbed to a 7-year high above $46 billion. Mr. Otedola also welcomed the banking sector recapitalization, saying, "I'm also impressed by the bold decision to recapitalize the banking sector." He adds that 2025 has rightly become a year of prudence and consolidation. He then called on the central bank to raise capital requirements, saying, "I believe it is time to raise minimum capital requirements for international banking licenses from 500 billion naira to at least 1 trillion naira. Mr. Otedola concludes saying, "I say this without hesitation. Yemi Cardoso is the best central bank governor Nigeria has ever produced," adding that Nigeria is turning a corner. And with that, we're checking with equities markets around the world. We kicked off the first trading day of 2026 with a mix of optimism and volatility as investors return from the New Year break. In Nigeria, we see the equities market closed in the green, largely on gains in banking stocks. Maddie Williams has the details.
Well, Nigeria stock market kicked off 2026 with its first trading day, that's today, setting the tone for what could be a thrilling year ahead. Investors watch closely as key indices open the year with blue chip stocks, leading the charge, while market watchers weigh the economic signals that could shape the months to come this year. And we'll see the all-share index kicking off with a 0.5% rise. And I guess it's safe to say we have a Santa rally, at this point. That's when share prices, experience a sustained increase during the final few trading days of December and the first few days of January. So the first one now in the green, 0.57%, 156,000 for the all-share index. And there we are, 99 trillion. I guess we're at 100 trillion if you approximate this. So we're technically almost there. To the tier one banks now, they were on fire today after the counter delivered a 39% gain in 2025 overall. Then we see leading there, 9.52% access score. I guess countdown now to the recapitalization deadline right there set by the Central Bank of Nigeria. So we're all racing there at this point. So first trading day of 2026. On the last trading day of this week, it's positive.
And let's see the closing numbers of other major equities on the first trading day of 2026. And that's business news, and Will Ibong is back to add for more on the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. To other stories, health experts within and outside the Nigeria have advocated for an all-inclusive approach to the provision of Medicare for all. They made the plea during the Life of Impact Symposium organized to honor one of Nigeria's brightest health practitioners, Professor Aziz Butali, who's a professor at the College of Dentistry, University of Iowa, in the United States.
Top health experts, friends and colleagues are gathered here at the Old Great Hall, College of Medicine, Lagos University Teaching Hospital to celebrate Professor Aziz Butali at 50.
He is a distinguished Nigerian oral and maxillary.
The Chief Medical Director of LUTH, Professor Larry Ademo, in his opening remarks says Professor Butali's works points to the creation of a lasting legacy.
There's no doubt about it that Professor Butali is creating a lasting legacy of compassion. And he has actively choose to make a difference.
The event is also a celebration of impact, as Professor Butali says this is the beginning of a series of symposia to come.
Our goal is every year we bring someone or two people to come energize the audience, to come share their journey, at least 5 years of impact. We're chasing people like Tony Elumelu, Malala Yusuf, Billinger Gates and all that. We want them to grace this podium to talk to the crowd.
For Professors Mosi and Nashiru, the celebrant has given a good account of himself in the field of dentistry.
So the first priority was for Aziz to demonstrate his authority in the field. And he's done that with a series of tremendously innovative publications and laboratory research.
You can see that Aziz exudes goodness. And what has happened, you see, when the Almighty has a mission for you, you have people that are called to work with you. Starting from Professor Peter Mosi.
Health experts who attended the historic event believe collaboration can lead to a more efficient healthcare delivery in Africa and across the world.
Africans are educating their doctors and giving for free somewhere to Europe, America. So they should invest on their service, or they should budget well. They should be able to retain their people who are educated.
What we should be doing is putting much more effort and finance into prevention. And that's exactly what this celebration is all about. Someone who's decided that prevention is better than cure.
But don't just abandon Nigeria. There's a market here. So my colleagues, you can travel, but don't abandon Nigeria, have a relationship. And there are so many Nigerians that will partner with you.
This is the first of the Life of Impact Symposium series, which will be an annual exercise to give others the platform to enable them give back to the society.
And outside our shore, Swiss authorities believe that the fire at the ski resort bar in Crans-Montana municipality was likely caused by sparklers on the champagne bottles that came too close to the ceiling. Let's join Simon Pusey with more on this and more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Swiss authorities say they believe a fire at a ski resort bar was caused by sparklers attached to champagne bottles that came too close to the ceiling. But the Valais Attorney General says several hypotheses are still being investigated to confirm how the blaze, which killed 40 people and injured 119 others, began. So far, 113 of those injured have been formally identified, including 71 Swiss citizens, 14 French and 11 Italians. And police say formal identification of those killed is continuing. Russia has accused Ukraine of killing at least 27 people in a drone strike on a New Year's Eve party in a hotel and cafe in the Russian-occupied southern Kherson region. According to the Russia-installed governor, more than 30 people were injured in the attack, which he said happened in the village of Korli on the Black Sea. Ukraine said it would not directly respond to sources of information such as claims from governors of occupied regions, but it did say it adheres to the norms of international humanitarian law and conducts strikes exclusively against military targets. At least 7 people have died and many others are missing after a boat attempting to reach Europe capsized off the coast of the Gambia. The boat overturned on Wednesday midnight near Jinak village in the North Bank region and was later found grounded on a sandbank, according to the country's defence minister. 7 bodies have been recovered and 96 people have been rescued so far. There were around 200 people on board. US President Donald Trump has warned Iran's authorities against killing peaceful protesters, saying Washington will come to their rescue. In a brief post on social media, he wrote, "We are locked in and ready to go." A senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, responded by saying Trump should be careful if he intervened, warning of potential chaos across the Middle East. At least 8 people are reported to have been killed in Iran after almost a week of mass protests sparked by worsening economic conditions. Yemen's future hangs in the balance after a dramatic turn of events in the south, which have brought Saudi Arabia and the UAE into unprecedented direct confrontation and threatened the country with partition. Both Gulf powers have intervened on behalf of Yemen's internationally recognized government in the country's long-running civil war, but a fracturing of the alliance has seen them backing different rival groups, one of whom is now pushing to declare the independence of a breakaway state in southern Yemen. On Friday, the UAE-backed force declared that a war had begun, accusing Saudi-backed ground forces of launching an attack alongside airstrikes by the Saudi Air Force. China's BYD is set to overtake Elon Musk's Tesla as the world's biggest seller of electric vehicles, marking the first time it has outpaced its American rival for annual sales. Sales of its battery-powered cars rose last year by almost 28% to more than 2.25 million. Tesla, which is due to reveal its total sales for 2025 later on Friday, last week published analysts' estimates suggesting that it had sold around 1.65 million vehicles for the year as a whole. Anthony Joshua's driver has been charged after a crash in Nigeria injured the boxer and killed 2 of his teammates. Adeniyi Mobalaji Kayode was charged at the Sagamu Magistrate Court on Friday. Police sources say the charges include death by dangerous driving. Joshua's personal trainer Lateef Ayodele and strength coach Sina Gami died on Monday after the vehicle they were travelling in crashed into a stationary truck on a highway near Lagos. And an annual food fight festival has left the Spanish town of Ibi covered in flour and eggshells. Every year, participants wear military-style costumes and stage a fake coup using eggs, flour and firecrackers. The eggers go around asking for so-called taxes or donations to charity from local people, and if you don't pay, you could end up getting splattered. The festival, held in the province of Alicante, is more than 200 years old and takes place on the 28th of December each year to coincide with the Day of the Innocents, Spain's equivalent to April Fool's Day. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Hello and welcome to Sports News. The Nigerian police has charged the driver of the car carrying former heavyweight boxer Anthony Joshua that was involved in a fatal crash with reckless and dangerous driving causing death. 46-year-old Adeniyi Kayode was also charged with driving without a valid driver's license and driving without due care and attention, causing bodily harm and damage to property. He was also granted a 5 million naira bail, but will remain in detention until his bail conditions are met. Let's take you now to Morocco, where Sudan head coach Kwesi Appiah says the fight will fight till the very end, when they file out against Senegal in the round of 16 of the Cup of Nations This Saturday, Sudan secured their passage to the next round as one of the best-ranked third-placed teams after only picking up 3 points from their opening 3 matches. And the coach's side have faced them twice in 2026 World Cup qualifying, with Senegal running out 2-0 victors. Well, on the flip side of things, Senegal's head coach Pape Thiaw is insisting there will be no room for errors when they meet Sudan tomorrow at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations at the Tanger Ground Stadium. The Lions of Teranga advanced to the knockout stages as Group D winners with an unbeaten record. They are the joint second highest goal scorers in the tournament with 7 goals after Nigeria's Super Eagles, which won 8. Well, the 2021 AFCON champions defeated Botswana 3-0 in their opening group game, and they were held to a 1-1 draw by DR Congo and then defeated Benin Republic 3-0 in their final group game. In the meantime, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has unveiled the best 11 players for the group phase of the Cup of Nations in Morocco, with Super Eagles head coach Eric Schell and forward Ademola Lookman making the cut. Well, Coach Schell was picked as coach of the team, while Lookman, who has netted 2 goals so far, was picked in the attacking midfield position. The host nation, the Allies Lions of Morocco, have 2 players, while Egypt, DR Congo, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, Algeria, Cameroon, and Tunisia were also represented. Well, that's your sports news tonight. I am Kelly Egiga. It's back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has formally joined the All Progressives Congress, the APC, marking a major political realignment in Plateau State. And we also had our focus on the National Assembly tonight in our ongoing 2025 sector-by-sector review. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawade. From all of us here, it's good night.